Very welcome, and a big welcome to Johan Ragnar.
Thank you.
We are live broadcasting from the fair as it is building right now, actually. So you're basically building the stand right now.
Yes. So you have disturbed us now, Magnus.
It will be quite busy here, I suppose, with a lot of construction going on. And it's a great pleasure to have you here, Johan.
Thank you.
We're going to spend an hour together to talk about circular models, actually, and how that links to design. And we also have a few samples here with material that we might pull out of the box later on. So if you see things moving in the background, you know why. All right. We also have at the end a possibility for asking questions. So feel free to post things in the chat. We will keep watching that. And at the end, we're actually opening up if someone has questions or would like to post comments. So it all started, Johan, with that you had the idea basically to try to create interior design that are possible to modify and that is possible to customize and also having an afterlife, so you don't just throw it away. And so when you reached out, it was quite interesting because you didn't just want to, work with recycling. You wanted to extend the life of a product.
Yes, and I think it's a matter of survival to think in to find new approaches and we have to think of that the product should last for over 100 years, and then we can finish them up every 20 years or something, instead of just using them 20 years and then throw them away.
And it's interesting to be here with you. So Ragnars is a part of the Lammhults Design Group.
Yes.
And you have actually interior'd the Court of Hague and many other cool places.
The Opera House in Oslo.
Wow.
And the embassy, Swedish embassy in Washington.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we talk about really high quality furniture and very high-end design here. So let's jump into it without any further ado. So what the first take we took actually was to work with first innovation sprint, where we worked with the key driver, what is impacting, what is changing in the world. And that started actually quite many years ago, when we thought about 24/7 remote work way before the COVID. I think this was 2015 or so.
Yes.
And we have been working systematically with key drivers and scenarios. And then we decided to, hey, why don't try to do a few innovation sprints and see how can we take this further? So from the beginning, it was more to guide the design process. And now we decided to do a few innovation sprints and see how far can we take it if we push it. And we're actually sitting at one of the products from the process here. Could you tell us about this table?
It's a table for this type of meeting, a hybrid meetings. But you can also sit by yourself and work, because 75% of all meetings are with in the meeting rooms are with 1 to 3 persons. So this table is tailor-made for that purpose.
And it's also, you can actually sit around this here. We have like a round table here, and you have the screen here, and you can sit around it. So you can actually do an on-site meeting.
Yeah, I think
maybe we can stand up and have a
now
look.
I sit at the, if you go
it's
there,
at the end, and I'm on the other end here. And we can sit around here. We can have an online meeting, but we can also have a meeting in the office. We don't even have to turn the camera on.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool, and it's also a very nice rounded tabletop here.
Yeah.
So you don't hurt yourself.
No, it's kind of a circular shape, half circular shape. So it's very democratic compared to rectangular tables.
So democratic, involving. You can stand, you can sit, you can have on-site, you can have online, you can have mixed.
Yes.
And I also remember when we talked about the roundings here and how we remember that we discussed the casino tables.
Yes.
Because you actually rest your arms on casino tables quite long, and that could hurt you. So they rounded it off a long time ago.
Yeah, and so it has some similarities with sitting on the casino and playing blackjack.
Okay, so we decided to go ahead with delivering a design sprint based on scenarios and key driver mapping, and then all things we learned during the years. And we were very focused. We worked together with a top architect, Ragnars.
Yes.
That have been doing a lot of really spectacular projects around the world.
Yes.
And we came up with a few things, and this table here is actually one of the results that is now showcased on the fair. But we were not satisfied there. We said that this is like a little bit of the work we did, but we were not satisfied. We continued to work, and we created a sustainability strategy, a complete new business model that is circular, and the next step to accelerate implementation. And we also started to work with a revised design principle that are implemented. So if we start here, we have a lot of CEOs on this call, and it's when you think about it, you make a lot of decisions every day. And the customer of Ragnars, you have customers making very important decisions.
Yes.
Like the owner family of Hennes & Mauritz.
Yes, Stefan Persson.
Yep.
And Daniel Ek on Spotify and
Yep. And Benny Andersson from ABBA.
Yeah. But there are many, but those are just some examples
that you can mention. So those folks actually use a Ragnars table. So how about where decisions meet sustainability? If you want to impact sustainability on scope 2 or 3, which is the indirect scope, then maybe you should ask yourself, how should you do that? And we came up with the idea that decisions are made by this table. And that means that Ragnars is meeting your real sustainable impact at your product when the product is used, actually. So, of course, the product should be circular and in itself, but you can also impact. And that was kind of cool. So that's where we started. And you have this legendary coin. And maybe you can showcase the coin here. We have actually a piece with us here. I think that's possible to see here. That's like a coin. And it's really a legendary, epic thing that goes in many of your products. It's a long time ago. And if you close your eyes and imagine these Ragnar coins, maybe 100 years from now, what do you see? You see a lot of things. First, you might realize that a coin is not wasted. No one wastes a coin. And you do other things with it. Maybe you melt it down, but that is long, maybe hundreds of years ahead. So you created in your product this epic, legendary symbol that is actually the ultimate circular product. So we decided to use that, to use the coin to symbolize the circular thinking that you have been working on for a very, very long time, many, many decades.
Yeah, and I mean, you could, everybody wants to have a coin that is 1,000 years old. So that could symbolize this.
So, and what we did was that we looked at okay, what can we do to extend before its afterlife and maybe recycled? What can we do before? And we came up with a lot of things that you can do before. You can repair, you can refurbish, you can remanufacturing, you can reduce, rethink, you can do repurposing, you can refuse, and you can resell, actually. And by adding a QR code, which you plan to do, you can actually track things. And you can actually support people in changing, selling it further, and so forth, and codify a whole ecosystem. And that is something that I think is quite unique in the furniture industry.
Yeah, and it becomes traceable then, and
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
all the info about the product.
And you can print it, you can etch it in, or you can do a lot of things to get the QR code and link it to blockchain websites. So this is kind of cool. And we also saw that there is actually the fundamentals here is actually that we weave together the decision impact that when we aim for scope 1, 2, and 3. So how decisions impact sustainability, we woven that together with the extended circularity model. We will also support people with the information needed and put Ragnars in the center of the model. But we took it one step further, and this is something that Johan have been working quite much with in the past, to help people to rebuild your stuff. Very early when we met, maybe 10 years ago, you had a lot of ideas how to build the products in a way so you can easily do something else with them.
Yeah, but also since we have a flexible manufacturing unit, we can always rebuild furnitures.
Yeah.
So that is in our DNA, and that is sustainable, but we think of it as normal. It's
Yeah. And we call it do it yourself first principle. Right? So now we have some real action here in the background. Hopefully the microphone is working and do not pick up the noise. So this is the circular model. And what we can see here that in the center of it, we have the use part, and we try to extend it as far as possible. And then at some point, it becomes a product afterlife, and you can do something completely different with it. And then eventually, it becomes disposal that could be reused, remanufactured, refurbished, or recycled. And the aim is zero waste at the end of the day. So that is kind of forward-oriented to think like, do as much as possible before it even become a waste. And when it becomes a waste, everything should be used in some sense, combined with impacting decisions made by people having your product.
yes.
So we jumped into, had a look at the different keywords that were representing the way you think, the elegancy, the harmonious, the innovative, the aphilic, and the futuristic. And we use those to start to work deeper. And at the end, we also created design principles. So if we start here, the focus should be durable, biophilic, sustainable, and recycled materials. And the interesting part here that you work with quite many materials, right?
Yes.
And you have tabletops. Can you tell us about the tabletops?
Yeah, we work with all materials. That is, we want to fulfill the architect's dreams, and that's why we're open to work with all materials and also very advanced constructions. But now we're working with a new material that is used textile. It's a tabletop with used textile.
And they're also like hotel sheets and coats from hospitals.
Yes.
And just think of the stories. Just think of that tabletop, everything that the tabletop experienced. It's amazing. And every material carries a narrative. And that should be connected in a meaningful way to stories, to emphasize the circularity. And that is one approach that we saw is very useful to not just pick sustainable material, but also have a narrative around them, to be able to create an interesting story and connect it in a meaningful way to impact people actually. And then to embrace the circular design and have this coin, the coins, which is called here, the coins, to really embrace the circular thinking and also to allow people to do it yourself and do things in a very modularized way. So it's not just that you do things of reused material. You create a story to it, and you do it the ways you can do things with it in the QR model. and you use the coin as a symbol for the infinite loop of circularity.
Another interesting material is what we have in textile dividers, sound-absorbing textile dividers. And we use the textile is 100% wasted plastic from the oceans. So the divider is right
behind us.
back of us.
So that's another example of how you connect stories. So, and then we have, of course, the eco-friendly manufacturing. I mean, you've done a pretty good job here, and everybody's doing that, and that is absolutely necessary. But it's not just that. A lot of people just aim for that, but we take this much further. And we also think about the whole logistic chain with packaging and secondary packaging and repackaging to minimize every single step, including from where it is delivered, actually. And then we have the communicating strategy or sustainability communicating, which is also very important, where we put this do-it-yourself in the center of the communication. And the reason for that is to engage people to become interested and really feel that they are a part of something. That's also why you have all these materials that you can pick from, and you have smelling boxes where you can smell things.
Yeah, and also we have materials with dried flowers and hay from the Alps called organoid. See if I find one. So this is organoid, and it smells like hay from the Alps.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, and if we have now, so this is about the model and the strategy. If we look at what you have done so far, and now the next phase is kicking off, you actually reduced water waste quite much, and you have reduced the energy use and also CO2 footprint, and reduced emission of greenhouse gases. You replaced quite much material with less polluting materials. And you also replaced fossil energy with renewable energy. You have reduced the use of water, recycled more water. And it's a lot of things that you have done. And you have also worked with longer lasting products. So that was really something you already did. And now we go into the next phase. So we pulled out some data. And what this data is telling is basically that when we look at cooperation around the world, only 22% do actually have an understanding of how the business model impacts. And only 40% can see the result of it. It's very poor. It's very easy to talk about circular models. That's also why we created this QR code model. We want to explain and showcase how it can be used and then link that to real actions. So we did sustainability assessment on you, and we found that you're pretty strong in several areas. Then you have a few areas where you're now taking action in the processing for innovation, the innovation management, external collaboration. This is all in the list to start doing now. And you already did this one here, which is more a systemic way of innovating, and I will show that in a second. And today's talk is about the circular model. So each one of the weak areas that we found, we start work with immediately. And let's go now and have a look at the systemic part of it. It's actually, we came up with the design principles based on the work we did and the base that you have been doing for decades. Maybe you can mention a few things about the new design principles that Ragnars has.
I think it was a quite hard task to make a design philosophy, but then I think we had to find what is our DNA and what do we strive for the future. But it's extremely important that it's true for Ragnars as a company.
Yep.
And yeah, and we are very satisfied with the principles that we have come up to together with Ragnars.
And each one of the bullets here, they have like a very detailed description. We apparently not going to show that because that is like a trade secret. But overall, this is not a secret, and it will actually influence all communication, every design, showrooms, everything. And you already started this work, which is kind of cool.